So in not so surprising news, it just came out that the prosecutor, whose name is Andrew Womble, says that the fatal shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. was justified. Am I surprised? Hell no. Should you be surprised? No, of course not. And we're going to read through this and see what BS he's talking about, because I bet you it's filled with a bunch of lies. North Carolina Sheriff's deputies were justified in their fatal shooting of a black man in April, a district attorney said Tuesday. District Attorney Andrew Womble said Andrew Brown Jr.'s actions caused deputies to believe it was necessary to use deadly force. Brown ignored deputies' commands to stop and began to drive his car directly at one of the officers. Terrorists. He must have missed the video we all saw when they were driving down the street in that pickup truck with them long guns as if they were about to go play a game of pick a nigger. Like, where did they do that at? Like, so you're telling me they were justified in doing that is what they said. That's how I'm guessing that's how the terrorists operate down in North Carolina, or well, in this part of North Carolina. He said the first shot fired at Brown's car went through the front windshield, not the back, as was previously reported. He's basically saying that Andrew Brown Jr. drove in their direction, and to stop them, they had to use deadly force in order to stop them from colliding. I'm guessing that's what he's trying to say. Even though the autopsy said that one of the bullets went through the back of his head. So how is it that he was driving toward them? And see, here's the thing. Now you can see why they did not want to release them tapes. Because now they're trying to spin a narrative. And then they only released it to the attorney and to the older brother. But they were redacted versions of the tapes, which means they were edited heavily. So it makes me wonder what was seen on those tapes and what is on that original, if they even have the original one anymore. And I'm looking at a picture of Andrew Brown Jr.'s car, and his back windshield is shattered. So how in the world did that happen? If anything, the windshield should have been shattered, or at least had bullet holes in it, but it's the back window that's shattered. I swear they make up shit as far as they go along. Deputies attempting to serve drug-related search and arrest warrants shot and killed Brown outside his Elizabeth City home on April 21st. 3 deputies involved in the shooting remain on leave, while 4 others who were at the scene were reinstated after the sheriff said they didn't fire their weapons. An independent autopsy released by the family found that Brown was hit by bullets 5 times, including once in the back of the head. Lawyers for Brown's family who watched the body camera footage says that it shows Brown was not armed and that he didn't drive toward deputies or pose a threat to them. Womble has previously disagreed in court, saying that Brown struck deputies twice with his car before any shots were fired. And I'm trying to I can't get a visual of the front of the car in this picture because someone's standing in the way. How is he trying to hit them? If there's no damage to the front of his car, then that pretty much debunks his entire lie. I can't even call it a story. It's just a whole lie. But I can see that his back windshield is completely shattered, indicating bullets went through that back windshield. The sheriff has said his deputies weren't injured. The shooting sparked protests over multiple weeks by demonstrators calling for the public release of the body camera footage. While authorities have shown footage to Brown's family, a judge refused to release the video publicly pending the state investigation. Separately, the FBI has launched a civil rights probe of the shooting. Let me just say right now, this Andrew Womble ain't shit. He is not. He looks like a dead toenail. But besides that, his story has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. So you mean to tell me that Andrew Brown Jr. drove toward a horde of hillbillies while driving in this big black pickup truck with these long guns driving down the street, and he drove towards them? But I'm looking at the picture of his car. Hold on right quick. Okay, y'all. So this is a picture of Andrew Brown Jr.'s car. Remember I tell you, the back, this shattered, gone. You see a bullet hole right here on the back window, on the right side of the vehicle. This window is kind of cracked, not cracked as in it's a crack in the window, but cracked meaning it's kind of down. I can't really tell what's going on in the front, but this part right here, this is what I really want to see, is the front of the vehicle, because they claim he tried to run into them. That could not be. And the thing is, how could this doesn't even make sense. His story, like his lie, because I can't call it a story, his lie doesn't it doesn't I can't even form the words. It doesn't speak to me that he's telling any type of truth. And it's a meeting that he just came out and said they were justified in what they did. They were justified in the murder of this man, is what they're saying. And see if they can find that, if they can agree that he was justified, they won't even call it a murder anymore. Then they'll throw on, oh, it was his own fault. He caused his own murder. It's his own fault. Watch. That's the spin. That is the spin that is about to take place. Watch. But I'm not surprised that he came out and said that. Because, you know, these are the same type of people that say, or whenever they find a black person hanging somewhere, that it was their fault, that they're dead, or they committed suicide. Same thing. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one. All right, so I had to come back on here and add this little piece in here. So I don't know why I didn't think to add it in the first part that I just talked about, but now with that Andrew Womble saying and justifying that what they did was justified, now there will be no criminal charges put upon any of the terrorists that were involved with the shooting and murder, as far as I'm concerned, of Andrew Brown Jr. And they also released the body cam footage, because like at this point they had to, because this Andrew Womble, after what he came out and said, and even looking at that body cam footage, it still doesn't go, his story still doesn't even line up with what we see in that footage. And I kind of figured that it wouldn't. And another day, another goddamn motherfucking day. But yeah, like, I'm not surprised that this was the outcome, because, you know, they said, hey, we already got, you know, Derek Chauvin. We might, you know, get those other three that were involved. Kim Potter, her trials, she's going to trial at the end of the year. What's the, you know, we're not trying to get all of them. We're not trying to have lightning strike twice or a few times in the same spot. We got to go back to our regular scheduled programming. And this right here is proof of that. Like, this fool immediately came out and said they were justified in what they were saying. And also, I kept seeing or hearing the word perception, saying how just by them perceiving that he was a threat, not that he was an actual threat, but the perception of him being a threat, meaning they assumed he was a threatening party. That's what led to them killing him. Do you know how scary and dangerous that is for us as black people when it comes to dealing with these terrorists in blue? All they have to do is assume, and boom. But to be honest, we've been here before. Every time they say, I fear for my life, that's the same exact thing that they do. The same goddamn exact thing. When they yell, I fear for my life, that's them perceiving us to be a threat, thus justifying them unloading into us, which is exactly what they did with him. And I'm certain they're going to continue to do it going forward. This is why that qualified immunity has got to go. Exactly why it's got to go. That's why I can't take that Jimmy Clyburn seriously, or any of these other bootlicks out here who have something to do, who always have to question qualified immunity. It's got to go. And then these terrorists have the nerve to say that they have the most dangerous job. No, y'all had actually the most cushiest and most protected job in America, when you can do something like this and get away with it over and over and over again.